All right. Hi, and welcome to Community Spotlight. And I am Kim, and I am so excited because we are in a new year. It is 2025, and my goal this year will be education and enlightenment, because that's how we all become better, by learning. So not only will you get all of the wonderful people as my guest today, who are in the community, who I guess are hidden gems, because had I not had my health fair, I would never have been able to meet my guest today. So welcome.
Thank you.
Introduce yourself.
My name is Jada Jackson. I'm a birth and postpartum doula. My business name is Born Doula, and you can find me on Instagram at Born Doula.
All right, so again, what is that? So tell us what that means and what you do, and I guess on both sides, because everybody deals with birth, but not a lot of people deal with the postpartum side. So I think both are so important to your health, to your everything.
Yeah. So a doula is a support person for pregnant women, postpartum women. They have abortion doulas. They have miscarriage doulas. So I'm a birth and postpartum doula. So I'll support women throughout their entire pregnancy, throughout their entire labor, the birth, and then if they hire me also for postpartum, I'll support them during that time as well. And when I say support, it's not medical. Doulas do not do anything medical. That would be the midwife's position. So it's more so educating them on their options. That way they know they can make choices other than what they've been told by the wide stream. If that makes sense. So giving them their options, emotional support, physical support. I do massage my clients. I'll massage their belly. Sometimes I'll massage the neck area, the shoulders. I've massaged feet before in labor. So I'm very hands-on. I like to give because see, when you're dealing with women in their pregnancies, it's personal at that point. And I'm noticing that you really become like family with your clients when you're doing work like this. So that's what a doula is. A doula is all of the support outside of medical. We just do nothing medical. We're not allowed to. And so, that's what I do. And then on the postpartum side, it's more so recovery, making sure that she's not overwhelmed. She doesn't have to worry about food. She doesn't have to worry about chores. If she wants to take a shower, someone can hold the baby. Things like that. And then because if she doesn't have a support system, it's even more beneficial for her to have a doula. If the partner is not around, if she doesn't have a mom or a grandmom to come to the house and help out once the baby was just born, a doula is a perfect fit.
And in today's world, so many people who could have been supportive or would want to be have to go to work. They have so much to do. And so we just don't have what we did before. So one of the primary things that I just learned once you came to the health fair, because I had a C-section for my last baby, was that, because she was breech. So I had a breech birth. And so in order to not have delivered her breech, we had a C-section. I found out from the information from a doula that I didn't have to do that. So can you tell?
Now, I want to be clear, because you were under their jurisdiction, you did not have to, in a sense. If you wanted to walk out of the hospital, that's extreme. But if you wanted to leave, it's up to you. You can still give birth to your baby outside of the hospital system. I don't know if they would have allowed you to give birth there in that way. You know what I'm saying? Because they probably would have had you sign paperwork or something, because now the breach falls on them. They don't want anything to fall on them and they get in trouble if the breach goes wrong. Breach is natural. Breach is normal. It's a variation of normal is what we say in the birth world. So if you're having a home birth, you can definitely give birth to a breech baby. So if you're in the hospital and if someone is in that situation, I think that's a conversation that you should have before you ever get into, like before you come up on labor.
Yes.
You should talk to your OBGYN. If my baby does happen to be breech, how do you approach this?
Right.
Are you completely against breech births? Do you not have a doctor here who supports breech birth and is skilled in a breech birth? But
and that's
yes,
it's all about options.
Yes.
And just knowing and understanding your options so that you can make the choice. I think and it could be just me, I probably have control issues. But somebody pushing something on me, I'm kind of like, hold up.
It doesn't feel good.
Right, yeah. So if you can give me enough education for me to make an informative decision, then I feel better about it.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like, okay, given all of this information, I've decided to.
Yeah.
And so then I'm good with that. But when I find out that I haven't been given all the information and a choice was made with only this much information when I could have been given this much information. Now, mind you, I still may have made that same choice, but I feel better knowing my options. And so that's what and when I was talking to you, there are so many things that just got me excited by a birth doula. So I have to be honest. Prior to that, I knew of death doulas because that's what I do. Yeah. But I didn't know about birth doulas. So that you, as a person to support, again, one of my children I had in Florida. All my family lives here. So,
Was this the last one that was in Florida?
That was the last one.
Okay.
And then, mind you, again, I had the C-section. I wouldn't take medication. You can't do anything.
Yeah.
I'm nursing and was probably stinky. Like, who was holding it?
I was going to ask, were they like turning their nose up at how you were trying to approach things? Were they not like in total agreement throughout your pregnancy?
Yes. So because I'm an information-driven person, I think that the medical community, I'm probably not their favorite person because I know when I had my second child is when it became mandatory to have the HIV shot when they were first born or something like that. Okay. Or that hepatitis shot maybe, whatever it is, that hepatitis shot. And I was like, she's not going to be doing drugs. She's not doing this or that.
Vitamin K
you're not
shot.
giving it to her. So I would not allow them to give her certain shots. And can I tell you, almost every doctor in that hospital came through to tell me why I had to do this.
Unfortunately, so before I ever became a doula, obviously I'm seeing all of the stories online. And it wasn't, I took it as the truth because, these are people's experiences, right? But it's different when you're there and you experience it for yourself and the same thing happened to a client of mine. She was denying the vitamin K shot, I'm pretty sure. And they sent the head of whoever into the room and she was fear-mongering her into feeling like she had to get that for her baby. And I was flabbergasted. I'm looking like, wow, and this woman is in labor. I think we're not even recognizing that these women are in labor. They should not have to make these kind of decisions. They shouldn't have to fight against what it is they want for their child in labor. That's what really breaks my heart.
It's a lot when you question. If you're like, well, that doesn't make sense to me right now. I said, she not having sex. She not doing drugs. I'm going to make sure none of this stuff happens. We're going to hold off until she's a little stronger. She got a brand new system. I didn't want to introduce her to outside things at that particular point.
And you shouldn't have to explain yourself to them.
Right, exactly.
You really shouldn't. And you're not in a position mentally at that point to defend yourself. Because your body is trying to give birth to a baby. So your mind is not, it's like, I got to give energy to you to explain to you why I don't want to give my baby a shot. So
it's a lot that we, and I guess everybody, but definitely we as women, as we're going through the process, and again, we're talking energy. And energy is real when you're trying to put all these things together. And so having someone there to support you throughout, I feel like it's such a big deal. And it's so cool to know that that's an option. So I really pray that people pay attention and take this support. Like, this is awesome.
Yeah.
You know, it's awesome because just think of all the fear. We're trying to take a shower. We're trying to look at the kid. We're trying to, you know, we're especially for new mothers, you know, you've got so much happening. Sometimes you have mothers who might have had miscarriages or something before. You've got all of these extra feelings going on. And you got all this crazy hormone stuff because you just gave birth. And you got to worry about this baby. Like, come on. So having a support person there, I think it's just intelligent. You know, I think it should be almost mandatory to have, with all of the things that are mandatory, this should be something that is mandatory, you know, because we need it.
And in certain cultures, they have it to where the mothers, the aunts, the sisters, they will come to the house for 40 days.
Right. Oh,
and
wow.
And stay with the mother and take care of her and help her take care of the baby during that time. And I think we need to start doing stuff like that in our culture, in our communities. Because it would diminish the postpartum depression greatly. So I just think we can look to, and this is something we used to do. We used to have the support with each other. It's just that I guess in the modern world, the way things are now, we've kind of been removed from it. It's not as community oriented. But I think that is something that's really beneficial, to have your circle of women coming together, supporting you during that time. And other cultures do it. And I, you know, maybe that's something I can think about in the future, just trying to figure out a way to get us to start doing that again.
It definitely is. Like I said, I really believe it should be mandatory when you think about all that's happening. You know, even with the support, like right before, as you're trying to get ready, you're not sure what to do. Sometimes you have new mothers, or again, so many people who are giving birth have had times where they haven't been able to give birth. And so that anxiety, I think, makes it that much harder on everything. And of course, stress makes everything harder. And so, you know, just having somebody to ease some of that anxiety, I think would be just better than any medication that anybody would want to give or anything along those lines.
Even having a doula present alone, the presence of a doula inside of the birth room, I think I always notice the looks I get from the nurses, because it's like they know that someone is here specifically to watch and make sure the client gets their desired experience as much as possible. Nothing's guaranteed in birth because birth is unpredictable. But they know there's a professional here strictly for that reason. So they kind of feel like they have to, I don't know, be on their P's and Q's.
That's it. And that's important as well. It really is. So if we can relate to, you know, when you have a loved one who's in the hospital for anything and you're like, well, I was there because you have to be there. Well, just think those times that you can't be there, just having that person to be there, and that's their sole responsibility. So sometimes we all have a whole bunch of, you know, we got a lot of dynamics to everything. So making sure the sole responsibility is the care of that person.
And advocacy as well. If there's something so another thing I experienced in the hospital was, when it comes to birth plans, a birth plan is something that, you know, you'll type up or write up and you're like, okay, I want immediate skin to skin. I want to breastfeed immediately. I want, you know, delayed cord clamping. You're telling them all of your birth preferences in the birth plan. But if you never talk about your birth plan with your provider before the birth, 9 times out of 10, that birth plan is out the window. It's not going to be respected. And I don't want to say it's because they don't want to respect it, but at that point,
it's not in their head.
It's not. They're focused on so many other things. And so you, as the birthing woman, have to make it important to them. Like, listen, this is what I want for my birth. This is it. do your best to let's achieve this. So yeah, when it comes to the birth plans, we have to talk about it beforehand because they're not going to pay it any mind.
And just that, so knowing all of the options that there are now, so knowing like that you can, keep your afterbirth, that you can have that placenta. Yeah. That placenta is important these days. Yeah. Nobody cared about a placenta before.
Or you can keep the placenta attached completely, which is called a lotus birth.
Really?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So there's so many options that we're just unaware of, and I don't think many doctors discuss all of those things.
They don't, and if we're specifically speaking on the placenta, they don't want you to take it. They don't want you to, even when it comes to delayed cord clamping, it's not even that delayed, maybe for about a minute or so. But if you want to keep your baby attached for maybe an hour or so, the advocacy is going to have to be really strong. You're going to have to really, and I think that's the part I hate about it the most. I feel like we shouldn't have to go so hard for what we want for ourselves. And that's the part that is unfortunate, which is why I am a home birth advocate and also a birth center advocate, because at least in these environments, in a birth center environment, it's made for birth.
Okay, yes.
It's designated for birth.
Exactly, that makes sense.
The hospital is not made for birth. The hospital is made for sick people, for dying people.
Right.
And so when you go into the hospital, and like we were talking about earlier, energy is real. The energy inside of the hospital is that of sick people, that of dead people. And so you're coming there to give birth to life, and all of the doctors and everything have been feeling sickness. And you get what I'm saying?
Yes.
And it's just filled with anxiety. You have your nurses going in and out of your room. They're asking you 1,000 questions. You're signing paperwork. It's just like, can the woman labor?
Right.
Can she just labor and just be?
And just be comfortable.
That would prevent a lot of
the anxiety,
complications, anxiety. When you're anxious, you cannot relax. Your hormones are not going to flow the way they're supposed to. And you're going to tense up. Now you have this long labor. Your doctor is coming in and they're like, well, your labor is not progressing the way we had hoped. I wonder why. Doctor, I'm scared.
Yes. Right.
So, I just hate that we have to go so hard because we shouldn't have to. And
we should not have to.
I really want,
relaxed.
But the reason we're not having home births and we're not giving birth at the birth center is because we're afraid. And on some end of it, we're afraid of our own bodies. We don't trust that the body can just do what it's meant to do. And on the other side of it, we're afraid of something going wrong. And I think when people say, well, what if something goes wrong? The chances of something going wrong are higher in the hospital. They're higher in the hospital because there's certain things that can't even happen at a home birth. It's not even possible.
Example.
A C-section.
Oh, okay. Yep.
A C-section is not even possible when you're at home. And there's going to be reasons that they're going to send you to have a C-section at a hospital that they wouldn't at home, your midwife wouldn't at home. For example, a breech birth. If you're at home with your midwife and your baby is down, they see some feet, they're not going to scream, oh, we need a C-section. I can't think of another example on the top of my head, but it's just reasons like that. We're scared. And we feel like in the hospital is the end all be all. The doctors know best. And so we don't take the chance on I don't want to say freedom, but we just don't give it a chance. We don't try it.
We've been trained so much that this is how it's done. We've kind of been given a procedure.
This is protocol.
And this is what it is. And then for, anybody who does something that's out of the ordinary, people kind of, first of all, they look at you funny. You always get a funny look if you do anything
different.
That's not accustomed or not in protocol or what society has said is okay.
Yeah.
So you have to kind of follow society's rules in order to not be taken differently. And because it's just not the mainstream right now.
And I will say they're getting better
Yes,
with it.
yeah.
I see they're having the home, do not get me wrong.
Yeah.
Home births are coming back.
Home births are
Birth
coming
center
back.
births are coming back.
They are coming back.
It's coming back. It's just not.
And even like the little things like nursing, they are so quick to, you know, say your milk's not coming or whatever it is and be done with you and we're going to do this and that. They don't realize, you know, even at the relaxation in order to allow you to be able to flow and to go ahead. And I feel like people are rushed into not nursing their child. You know, they're given, I don't know what the daggone time frame is, but it seems to be pretty quick or people have in their head, because whenever I talk to somebody who has decided not to nurse, they'll say, well, my milk didn't come. And I'm thinking, well, how long did you give it?
Yeah, right. And milk is supply and demand.
Yeah.
So if you're not putting the baby to the breast, then the milk's not going to come down. You have to, the milk knows to come down. As soon as the baby's born, the milk knows that it needs to come. But at that point, you have to put the baby to the breast continually so that the milk can come down. Yeah.
And you get that, like you soon learn after it happens that as soon as your body can feel it, your body's gonna keep you in the grocery store and you hear some crying, it's like, I gotta go to the bathroom and put more pads on or whatever, because your body will. Your body is designed to supply what it's supposed to supply. So
and latches. It's I think some people find themselves giving up because they couldn't get a good latch with the baby. And there's so many different positions to try. And I think that instead of giving up, if it's something that for me, breastfeeding is a non-negotiable. I will. Too. I mean, it's like I'm gonna go to the ends of the earth before my baby is gonna have formula. Not everyone has that mindset. But I think we all can agree. Now they say fed is best, and I do agree. But out of the fed, the breast is the best. And so if we can, instead of giving up, hire a professional to help you with it. There's lactation consultants to help with breastfeeding support. And it's just like with anything. If something's wrong with your car, you're going to hire a maintenance man. If you need plumbing, you're going to get a plumber. So if you need breastfeeding support, you need to hire a lactation consultant. And it's worth it. This is your baby.
It's definitely worth it. All that nutrition.
I was about to go there, I was about to go there with the breast milk. Breast milk is amazing, and I think we don't really know. I didn't even know how powerful breast milk is, but I'll just give one example. When your child is sick, your breast milk creates the cure. Your breast milk will pick up on what your baby is lacking, and it'll provide those things for your baby. So, and the breast milk is ever changing.
Our bodies are amazing. Really, it's just it really is. And so it's so important to know that, to understand that, to be educated on it. So that's part of our goal today, is to just make sure you ask questions, know your options. Stay away from just what everybody says has to happen. Like, we don't want to necessarily do what, I hate to say the government, but what society or whatever has trained us to do, unless we understand why. Like, why is it we stopped using breast milk? Like, what was the, had to be a company somewhere making a lot of money that said, we can't make money off her milk.
And please, oh God, people are fooled by, because I guess certain, the milk, what is the milk called? The baby milk. Formula. Certain formula companies are making milk, but they're calling it, they're not calling it breast milk, but they're saying that it has breast milk powers. They're saying it's colostrum in it, or it has the same thing as breast milk. It doesn't.
It doesn't.
It does not. That is a way to fool you into not doing what is best,
So. And I used to tell them, that's what it's for. Why you think you got these things? This is what
And then they work to dry it up afterwards.
Yeah. And it's like,
you know.
And I can say, so yes, I'm one of those people that everybody talked about because I nursed my child when she could still talk and asked to be nursed.
Yes.
So, you know, society, in our society, over in America's society, American society encourages you for a reason to take something that's not sexual to make it sexual. You know what I mean? So your breasts are only sexual when it's a sexual spot. Other than that, when it's your baby, it's your feeding tool. You know, that's what it's for.
When it is sexual, it's okay.
Oh yeah,
we can have the boobs out all day long on the beach, everywhere, in the strip club, on Instagram. Yeah. But the second you see a little cleavage because I'm feeding my child, it's a problem.
Yeah. And people will always say something to me like, "Can we go nurse it? It's a bottle. Yeah. Get used to it. Like, you know, would you feed your baby with a bottle right here?"
And to speak to you, because what you did was called extended breastfeeding.
Okay.
And that is normal in other countries. It's so normal. It's just not normal here.
It's just not normal here.
Yeah.
And so, because here I think people want like 3 months or something crazy.
Oh man. Yeah. At least 2 years.
Yeah.
At least 2 years.
Yeah, and it's cool.
At least 1 year.
At least a year. So
at least a year.
I can say all of my children are a year.
Yes, at least a year.
And each was different. So everybody, you know, like they do everything else. They walk at different times. They talk at different times. So, you know, you will be able to know and feel and do what's good for you. Yeah. And it's important to pay attention to how you feel. I think we get so regimented on a calendar that we forget our bodies.
Yeah, when it comes to breastfeeding, at least if you have the luxury of staying home with your baby, you don't need a schedule. Right. That baby's gonna tell you when the baby's hungry.
Oh yeah.
You don't know, and then they go through cluster feeding. Yeah. So at that point, you can't be on a schedule.
Exactly.
They're eating back to back to back to back.
Yeah.
And that's like, when they have that's during their growth spurt. Yes. They'll do the cluster feeding. Yes. But yeah, the routines is hard during breastfeeding. I didn't follow any routines.
Yeah, I definitely couldn't follow. And again, because I like I said, I must have control issues. I'm willing to admit that. You know, I'm just going to do what feels free and good. Yeah. You know, so telling me that I have to do it at this time and at this time and at that time, like, if she hungry, she gonna eat. Like,
the only time you need to be on a schedule is like the first 3 days, and not a literal schedule. It's just saying you need to put the baby to the breast every 2 to 3 hours. Yes. And that's just so that you can create that demand for the milk to come down and to come in.
And it's gonna come.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And
you know what? And stop being afraid of that initial little pain or whatever it is we're going to say, because you know, you're going to feel sensation. It's something
about
different.
The pain here or the pain?
Well, both of them. I love the fact that I knew I was contracting my stomach. You know, like, hey, right? My belly gonna go down.
Yes, so helpful.
And those are important things that we need to know. Not everybody knows. As you're breastfeeding, you know, you're helping. You're helping your stomach.
You're helping the uterus shrink down, down to size.
Yes. So that's, again, a part of your body's design, the design of God, universe. I don't know, whatever you want to call it, however you want to say it. It works itself. Yeah. You know, so everything is going to do what it's supposed to do, but you got to let it.
You have to let it.
You have to let it happen. And you know what I think else is cool with it is to enjoy it. Like, some people get all stressed. Oh my God. This is the happiest time ever.
Oh my gosh, when you're breastfeeding your baby, like, kick back, put the pillows behind you, and like, they're just gonna look up at you, and they're so sweet, and it's like they need you. Right. Like, this is my little person I created. They say 9 months in and 9 months on.
Oh, okay.
And the 9 months on it's also referring to like baby wearing. I can talk about that too. Yes. But yeah, they need you. Yes. They literally need you.
And that's cool. So I hadn't heard 9 months in and 9 months on. So tell me about that.
That's a term that they use in reference to baby wearing, which is when you wrap your baby up on you. There's different ways to wrap your baby. I'm a baby wearing advocate as well. And so it's just keeping them close. It helps with the bonding, the nurturement. We already know babies when they're in the womb, they're like, they're curled up. And so they like feeling tight and close and, warm. So, it's just very comfortable. It's easier for the mom to get stuff done. If you got to wash dishes, you can wash dishes with the baby on you. You can cook. You can clean. You can fold. Everything. You can do it. You can go to the store.
I didn't even know that it was a term for it, but I did it because it makes it easier. Yes. It makes it. It's just even when you have to get stuff done. I'm like, because you want your baby, because you want to pay attention, and so I just felt it was easier because.
And I love that part too. Yeah. I loved it all. I loved the breastfeeding. I loved pregnancy. I loved giving birth. I loved it all.
So I'm not going to say I love pregnancy. I can't go there.
What was your experience?
I guess probably outside people. I think people and their questions are just annoying. So that's probably not nice, but it was for me. This is how I felt. I don't care if it's a boy or a girl. Like, stop asking me. At different points, you just want your baby to be your baby. I don't, all of the
outside noise.
I
talked about that. So I did write an ebook. It's called Cultivating the Mindset for a Peaceful Pregnancy. And something that I discuss in the ebook is tuning out the outside noise. Because you cannot be at peace in your pregnancy if you're allowing everything that everybody else is saying to worry you and to dictate the decisions that you make. So I
that's
get that
important.
completely.
So I needed your ebook. Because had I had your ebook, I would have been better. So I have to say, so for my first child, yes, I had him at 24, but I wasn't married, and so the world was, I'm sure, judging or however they do it, and so I didn't tell, so you gotta don't tell anybody, you gotta live with, you gotta all of that kind of stuff I had to do. So I was just like, whew.
It's a lot.
It's a lot. It's a whole lot. So that outside noise would have been, not hearing, not thinking about, or knowing I could just tune out that outside noise would have been very helpful. I think that should be mandatory. And her book is mandatory now.
Right, yes. And I think for the people who are not pregnant or who could never be pregnant, I think it's important to know that, this is the greatest thing a woman could ever do. Like, we're bringing life to the planet, right? Give her grace. Allow her to listen to her instinct. Even if you had a baby before yourself, this is her experience, and her experience is not your experience. So just because something went a certain way for you, it doesn't mean that you have to, because we push our fears onto them. And our experience onto them. I went through this, so be prepared for this. The worst thing you could ever do is tell a pregnant woman about your negative birth experience. Don't do it. It's just, and it's not that she doesn't want to hear it. It's just not going to benefit her
at all
at this point. If you didn't tell her before she was pregnant, do not tell her now. It can wait until after the baby is born, because now in her mind, she's thinking about your experience, and she's thinking about the possibility of that happening to her. And we don't have room for that.
At all.
We have no room for the negative thoughts. We need to only be thinking, I'm going to give birth to this baby naturally, safely, soundly, and the baby's going to be healthy. And that's it. And whatever happens, happens. But don't talk about your negative experiences to pregnant women. They don't need to hear it.
At all.
They don't need to hear it.
Just let them enjoy life. This is a good full experience that should be happy, should be satisfying, should be all of those great things that you should feel while this person is growing inside of you.
Back to that point, that's not to say that you can't give them tips on maybe what to avoid. You get what I'm saying? There's a way to frame it.
Those foods that might like if make you uncomfortable, or something that made you uncomfortable, they may notice, well, daggone it, I ate that, and then something, I was more uncomfortable, or.
But more so, like specifically to the negative experience. Say you had a negative experience and you know why, and you know if this hadn't happened, maybe I wouldn't have had that experience.
Okay.
You can maybe tell your friend, hey, if they say this or if you're going through this, try to avoid X, Y, and Z.
Right. Okay.
Versus going down the entire rabbit hole of, oh, I did this and this happened and then it, they don't need to know the entire backstory.
Right.
You can just give them the helpful advice.
Right.
So yeah.
Yeah, and that's it. And every single birth is different. Every single pregnancy is different. So as much as somebody can give you some advice on something, you still, no two people, I will refuse to believe two people had the exact same experience during birth. It's just impossible to have the same experience. So just relax. And enjoy the process. But it's a process that can still be enjoyed because of the outcome, because of the experience. There's so many great takeaways from it that we can just focus on that. You always hear everybody talking about the pain.
For me,
I remember the pain. I hate to say that. That's not nice.
Yeah.
But I know that I was probably not as kind. I'm sure I was not as patient and all that kind of good stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm sure it was there. However, it's done. It's done.
Yeah, and for me, birth is the initiation into motherhood.
Yeah, okay.
So the pain is required.
Okay.
Do you know what I'm saying? It allows you, okay, if it was just so easy to have a baby, then we'd just be having babies. It wasn't meant to be that way. It has to be, there's a process, and it's a sacrifice. You're sacrificing yourself and your body to give birth to this new life. And so it had to be that way so that we take it seriously.
Okay.
This is not something that's minuscule.
Right.
You're bringing a baby here. You have to raise this baby. You have to cater to this baby.
Yeah.
You sacrificed your body the 9 months of pregnancy and during the birth, and you have to now sacrifice your time, your life, your old habits. You have to sacrifice even more into motherhood. And so that's the preparation.
Okay.
So in my opinion, it's a requirement. Now, obviously, we can get epidural, we can be pain-free and things like that, but it removes you from what's really happening.
Yeah.
You're not just numbing your body physically, you're numbing the spiritual. For me, everything is spiritual.
Everything
so
is
you're
spirit.
also numbing the spiritual connection that you're having during this birth.
Okay.
And so, yeah, that's my take on it.
So I have a friend who had really quick, easy pregnancies. I mean,
okay.
So pregnancy, I'm sure, at the same time, but her births were really quick and easy. I think she was probably in an ambulance once. Before she got there, she had it. She had a baby at home. Didn't even make it to the hospital. So again, each one is different. So I could not base the fact that I was going to be in labor longer or, again, have to have a C-section on the fact that one of my besties was able to just, I think, just go poof, and then the baby came. Like, what the heck? That's not fair.
Yeah. But did you find that the more, as you went on having babies, it got shorter and shorter? Was that true for you, or were all of your lengths of labor pretty much the same?
Again, for me, I think each was different. So it might have been.
Yeah, because they say the length gets shorter and shorter, like your second baby will come faster
than the first one.
That's what they say, yeah.
So I won't say. So we won't tell secrets, but anyway. Each one is different. And I think that it is about just most important takeaways for me today are knowing your choices, asking questions, any question. There's no limit You know how everybody says there's no dumb question. You can ask whatever you want to ask that's in your mind. I think you have the right to know if it's concerning you during your pregnancy, like, or about your birth or after or anything.
I think people don't get the time to ask their questions.
Yeah, that's true.
Because their appointments are so fast.
Yeah.
And it's so routine that by the time you're in there and your brain didn't even get to come with your questions prepared.
Right.
How about that?
Yes.
Know which questions you're going to ask.
Write them all down before you get there.
Because you're going to get there and you're going to be in and out. And you're going to get in the car like, oh, should I ask them?
Exactly.
And that's when you hit up your doula and you're like, hey, I didn't ask them this, but what do you think? You know, so be prepared with your questions because they're fast.
They are. Your appointments are very quick.
They're really quick.
Yeah.
But if you hire a midwife, it won't be the same.
Oh, really? See? So I didn't get to experience that.
It's more in depth. They talk to you more. It's more personable, you know.
Yeah, and that would make sense because I think that we are, again, trained to be on the doctor's schedule. You know what I mean? So you know that you have 15 minutes or so. You know that, you know, this is what you're going to do at this point. Yeah, let's hurry up. Let's, you know, whatever our doctor's appointment is, they have conditioned us to follow the process that's going to make it easiest for them. You know, so we are all conditioned for those processes.
It easiest for
right,
you.
yeah. So I think that we have to focus on ourselves more. You know, there's some times where we can be a little selfish, and I think ours have some more self-care.
Yeah.
And I think that self-care should come with your time with your doctors and asking those questions and really discussing medications and discussing options. And so with our pregnancies, again, now that I know that birth doula exists, I am so being honest and authentic here when I say I think it should be mandatory.
Yeah.
Because you don't get someone to support you like that. And in so many cases, in everything that we do, we have all of these support systems. But in one of the primary responsibilities, roles, things that happen, we are alone and we are left to kind of think of on our own, and we wonder, why do so many women go into postpartum depression and why do all of these things happen? And it could have been a process that was preparing, you know, they were experiencing it or starting to experience it before because of society, because of what the world's doing, because of what's happening, because, again, I'm going to say I was unmarried, you're supposed to be married. Like, you know, all of those things that society says should happen in order to have your child, that could be on your mind as you're, you know, going through everything and people are seeing you and asking you all of those millions of questions.
Yes.
So now we have two mandatories, the doula and the book, that ebook. Let's tell us the name of that ebook once more.
Cultivating the Mindset for a Peaceful Pregnancy. You can find it in the link in my Instagram bio.
And tell us how we get to your Instagram.
So my Instagram is Pure Born Doula. That's Pure, P-U-R-E, Born, B-O-R-N, Doula, D-O-U-L-A. Pure Born Doula.
All right. So, and I just think that having a doula during this time just would make life so much better for everybody. Sometimes there are kids around, you know, there are other children.
Like the woman has other children.
Yes. And so you have so much happening that you have to care for so many other things. Who is caring for you? You know?
That part. And I'm glad you said that.
Oh, good.
I'll end on this point. After you give birth to the baby, everyone's focused on the baby.
Yes.
No one's focused on the mother.
Nobody.
The doula is focused on the mother.
All right. See that? I promise you. I really, now that, and again, this is about education and enlightenment for this year as we're going through. And with the information that you're getting, we have so many tendencies to reject everything. Let's just absorb before we decide to make a decision. I think believe that we always have to, somebody gives you a question or gives you information and you feel like you have to give an immediate response. And I am so the opposite. People, I'm sure, get sick of me because I have to digest everything. I need to bring it in, breathe it, feel it, and then I can, you know, let you know about it. Please, this is a lot of information. But just breathe it all in. Think about it. Think about all the aspects of help that it would bring to the mother. We always say, you know, the mother of everything. If that mother is at ease and that mother is feeling better, just think how much society
it's going to be
better.
Oh,
Hey.
yes.
Yeah,
if we have supported mothers, then we have healthier children, and we have healthier people and healthier societies.
Yeah. So, again, this has been our great experience with having. Okay, once again, tell us your whole role, because I know we said it in the beginning.
So I'm Jada Jackson. I'm a birth and postpartum doula. So I support women throughout their pregnancies and after they give birth to the baby during postpartum. That's what I do. and again, so for me, I always, when I'm doing things or as I'm doing it, I do organic, because when I weigh it, I say it's worth it for me financially. It costs too much money. When I think about it and I think about my nutrition, I think about that. For me, it's worth it. I think that when you think about every place that I just did it. I hate to admit, I have too many pair of shoes and boots. I'm only going to shop in my closet for a little while. But when you think about all the places that you spend money and all the things that we do, how necessary is it to self-care? How necessary is it to, if you are a mother or a grandmother, you're a husband, you're a supportive person, you are whoever you are who is supporting that pregnant mother, perhaps you should be the one who gets that doula for her. Hey. Put your doula on your registry.
Hey. Oh, that's a good thing.
Yes, put your doula on your registry.
Definitely. So let's look at that and make it happen for as many people as you possibly can, so that we can support the world. Thank you so much for coming and sharing.
Thank you for having me.
I think you are great. Obviously, can y'all tell how excited I am about who she is, what she does, how authentic she is. You know, sometimes you just get that great feeling of authenticity in seeing and being around somebody. I can tell she's very serious about what she does for whomever she's working with, and as she's providing information and support. So thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for the opportunity.
Yes. And thank you all for watching, taking this time. Again, I like that idea of putting your doula on your registry. And no matter what, think about getting that doula for someone you love that you know is just announced her pregnancy. All right, we will see you next week with more education and enlightenment in 25. See you then. Hi, I'm Kim, and I am a part of the Congo Funeral Home team. My part is to help people pre-plan their funerals. Congo Funeral Home has been serving the community for many years, and now I find myself being able to say that I have helped people pre-plan funerals for 30 years. I know I'm only 34, right? How can this be? But I have been helping the community pre-plan young, more mature, brothers, sisters, aunts, uncles. Every single person can pre-plan their funeral. And you can do it with a company that you know, that you've trusted, that's been here supporting you for many years. Many times families come in and they're having some difficulty, and I feel bad because I need to get to these places to help people understand that you can just take your time, make easy, low monthly payments, and not have the hardship at the time of death. So sometimes when someone passes, the pain is just overwhelming, and it's intensified by the fact that we have to figure out how we're going to pay. Well, we at Congo Funeral Home want to support you in every way possible, also by giving you options to prepay your funeral. There are no health questions that would disqualify you. There's no amount of money. We will work it out so that it happens for you. So please call me, 302-652-8887 or 8632. And I want you to know that I'm available to come talk to your church group, your community group, just your family if you like, because it's important that we get this information out to as many people as possible so we can help everyone feel the peace that some of us feel once we know that we're securely covered. So please give me a call and I will help.
Hello, everyone. My name is Jada Jackson. I'm the owner of Born Doula. You can find me on Instagram at Born Doula at spelled PUREBORNDOULA. I have birth and postpartum services, so I can support you throughout your pregnancy and after you give birth to your baby. And I also have an ebook out. It's called Cultivating the Mindset for a Peaceful Pregnancy, and that's available at the link in my bio on Instagram. Once again, I'm Jada.